Good morning. Welcome to this spiritual reflection today from Deborah's Tree. I'm the Reverend Roslyn Taylor. So happy to just be able to be with you for a few moments this morning. And so I begin with the open word as a symbol of our openness to enlightenment to the divine. And so today I'm wondering if you've ever been confused or alarmed or maybe hopeful about the book of Revelation, the last book in the New Testament. I know a lot of people are, so today I am starting a series of reflections on this mysterious and apocalyptic book, the book of Revelation. And I do hope that you can find something in these reflections that will help you with your feelings and your understandings of this final book of the Bible. And as you might expect, I'm using the work of Emanuel Swedenborg to unpack some of the hidden meanings. In fact, the original meaning of the word from the Greek of apocalypse, it means an unveiling of what is hidden. It's come to mean because of this book of Revelation, specifically about sort of the end of the world, but really it just means revelation or of the understanding of things that are hidden. So I'm starting, as you might expect, also from the very beginning, Revelation chapter 1. And I noticed that within the first three verses, and by the way, those first three verses sound to me like an introduction to the book that's written by another author. But whoever wrote it, I noticed two references to a time when the prophecies in the book will be fulfilled. So reading from the Inclusive Bible Translation, in verse 1, this is the revelation of Jesus Christ, given by God to show the faithful what must happen very soon. And a little bit later in verse 3, happy are those people who read this prophetic message, and happy are those who hear it and heed what is written in it, for the time is near. If you've been following an ongoing TV series about the chosen followers of Jesus, you might also have noticed that phrase in the reading very soon, because in the show, it's an ongoing inside joke between Jesus and his disciples. Whenever they ask Jesus when something is going to happen, he replies soon, and pretty soon it becomes a joke amongst all of them. His followers in the show do come to realize that Jesus is not trying to be precise with time when he says soon. So for more than 2 millennia now, people have been claiming that the time has come, that the events foreseen in the book of Revelation are going to come true soon, in a literal way. But the world as we know it has not ended. So what did Jesus mean when he told the author of the book of Revelation that they would happen very soon and that the time is near? I turned to Swedenborgian theology to find answers to that question, starting, of course, with Swedenborg's very basic principle for understanding the ancient texts in the Bible. And that principle is that those texts are written in sacred metaphor, such that spiritual realities are being described using their corresponding realities in this natural realm in which we are living and breathing. And so because of that, the whole Bible tells in sacred metaphors, like a continuous parable, what the spiritual journey is. That journey starts in Genesis with the initial creation and ends with the final glorious and holy transformation in the book of Revelation, right at the end of the book. So the book of Revelation reveals to us the nature of the end stages of that journey. And it talks about those end stages in 3 levels. The first one is the spiritual development of the whole human family, as we progress through various spiritual times or spiritual epochs. It also talks about the end times of our individual spiritual journeys, and it talks about Jesus' specific journey of integrating his human side with the divine. Looking back to those opening verses that I read parts of, at the very beginning of John's reporting of the symbolic visions that tell us about the struggles and eventual victories and recreation in that spiritual journey, John tells us that it will be very soon and that the time is near. So by saying that, he adds a sense of urgency to what is about to be revealed in the many chapters in the book. In Swedenborgian theology, the meaning of very soon is, as you might expect, not really a reference to a time frame on this planet, but it's actually a symbolic way of saying that it's a certainty, that the predicted events will most certainly happen, they're going to manifest. Similarly, that phrase, the time is near, is not really a message about an imminent time frame for all of this to happen, but refers spiritually to an internal condition of the spirit that is ready for transformation. Transformation being the end goal of the spiritual journey. I make the claim about references to time really meaning an internal spiritual condition based on this and other quotes from Swedenborg's theological writings. So now I'm quoting from the book Secrets of Heaven. Day in the word means spiritual condition, as also does a year, and as in general do all periods of time, an hour, day, week, month, year, or age. Also morning, midday, evening, and night, and the seasons, spring, summer, autumn, and winter. So you get the idea that spiritual condition is really what is meant by any kind of reference to any time frame, including soon or the time being near. So how this applies in the opening verses of the book of Revelation is explained by Swedenborg in this way, and now I'm reading from the book's Revelation Explained. For the time is near signifies an interior spiritual condition. This is evident from the internal meaning of time as meaning spiritual condition, and from the meaning of near as being internal, what's deeper inside. A spiritual quality of feelings and of resulting thoughts is meant by spiritual condition. So, based on Swedenborgian explanations about these opening verses of the book of Revelation and about the Bible in general, my thinking is that the prophecy that the events in the rest of the book will come true any time now is really telling us something different. The prophecy is telling us that the time will come for us as a human family and for you and me individually, and actually came for Jesus in his life on earth, when our inmost spiritual condition will be such that we are ready for that final spiritual battles and for the transformation that's needed for us to reach a new and holy spiritual way of being. Soon, when the time has come, we will reach a new spiritual condition of peace and enlightenment. That's the promise, and that's the promise that will certainly come true. So my prayer for you is that you can work through whatever feelings and thoughts you have about the book of Revelation, and maybe even set them aside for now. My prayer for you is that you can look forward to that time when internally you are ready for the spiritual transformation that has been promised for you in the book of Revelation. And my blessing for today comes from verse 4 of this first chapter of the book of Revelation. Grace to you and peace from the one who is and who was and who is to come.